Welcome back to the Webby and O'Neill channel, and it's dancing like lunatics one week, humbled the next. This is the rollercoaster of emotions of being a Manchester United fan right now. One of the talking points we're going to discuss in today's video is, will we see any consistency in the Premier League this season? As usual, have your say in the chat, and we'll try and discuss some of your comments throughout today's video. You're smiling already. I don't even think I need to ask you a question, do I?
No, I lost all sense of what I was watching yesterday. My brain didn't register what was going on at times, especially when the substitutes were being made. I just didn't understand them. I didn't think anything was going to change, and nothing changed. I just lost all sense of reason what was going on that football pitch.
Yeah, we're going to get into it, get your opinions reeled off. And one of the talking points he mentioned in his press conference, Amorim, it was about the stats and how favourable it was towards Manchester United. But the eye test with me and you and a lot of people out there, it didn't look favourable, did it, in that team performance?
Well, he mentioned in his press conference, Ruben Amorim, about we created more chances. Well, that's stats for you. But as Kieran says, your eye test is different. Stats and performances are completely different. And the stats really can sway you to one way, as if to say, oh, we should have scored. We had more chances. Listen, we weren't good enough. Just simply weren't good enough. And the stats against the performances don't lie. The performance was absolute rubbish.
The thing is with Amorim, though, is still saying it how it is, so to speak, being honest as to where the teams are. And he did call for calm, didn't he, after the Everton game, after we won 4-0, just before the Arsenal game. And he did say there was a storm to come, because he could see with his own eyes the inconsistencies that was to come with this Manchester United team in terms of results being up and down.
Well, he can see what we can see, and most of yous out there. There's carnage and chaos in this football club. It's as simple as that. And he's seen it straight away. He knows what he's dealing with. He knows what some of the players just aren't up for it. And he knows the results are going to, 1 minute you're celebrating a win, the next thing you know, you're down on your knees because like performances like yesterday. And that's how it's going to continue. And that has been our consistent theme going right through to the end of the season. He has to work hard to get results till the end of the season. And then things should change. They have to change. But carnage and chaos, or a storm, whichever phrase you want to use, that's how it's going to be. And we've said it. I don't see how anyone really can sort of see how we can go on a run. It's the same squad as what was under Erik ten Hag. Nothing's going to change.
Carnage and chaos when he's walked through the door. There's still a bit of carnage and chaos there, still behind the scenes, and with one or two players, I suspect. He's only been here a month, though. I think it was it November the 24th, that Ipswich game, his first one. A month later, have you seen any real big changes amongst the actual playing style on the pitch where you think, yeah, it looks different to what it was under Erik ten Hag?
Of course, you've seen a different style than what it was under Erik ten Hag, but this squad's not capable of playing it. They're just not a unit. They're not together. There's things going on behind the scenes what we're not aware of. Some things we're aware of. And like you say, he's come out, Ruben Amorim, and he's been straight down the line and he's told us there is problems. We know about Garnacho. We know about Rashford. But there's other things going on. But there is a change of style. But it's doing us no good. No good whatsoever. We haven't got the personnel to do it, to get us up that league, to play consistently. 1 minute they'll do it, as we've seen. But yes, there is a different style, but it's doing us no good. Actually, I think it's doing us worse.
Yeah, but I'm actually glad that he's not masking over the actual real problems in this squad, though, and to play a style that would suit what he's currently got available, because we've seen it under Erik ten Hag as well. Won a couple of trophies under him, but it masks the real problems. So for me, he's already said it, Amorim, and I think he's totally honest in what he says, where he won't deviate from the plan. This is how he's going to play, and if you can't play it, you'll be shown the door at the nearest opportunity.
He's not going to deviate. He can't deviate. He's just got the squad what he's with, and we'll be very, very lucky to see any changes in January. Look, let's get something straight. The fans understand what's going on. We've lived with it now for a couple of years. There's no consistency, no nothing, and all he can do is be honest. And if he's not honest, then it might be the death of him, where players end up winning again. The players have won every time with managers here, and he has to be truthful and he has to be ruthless. And we're seeing a ruthless side of him, and that's what us, well, we fans want. We want him to be ruthless. We know some of these players are lacking, and we're not going to get consistency. Some people think we are, and I've been saying it, we are not getting it no matter what goes on here.
Yeah, but you've got to look at it as well. Roughly a month in charge. You know, through this, he's not started in pre-season, but you could also then look at this, that this month is his pre-season to get to know his players, who's on the long journey, who's not.
No, listen, he came in when there was an international break. He didn't get to know his players. There was like 2 days before the first game, before the Ipswich game, and it was an away game. He's... Excuse me. He's not had chance to get used to these players. He's just having bits of them here. He's rotating. He's having a look at everyone. But he had a bad hand dealt coming in for an international break. So no, I don't see it as a pre-season because the players aren't fit, and he's got no chance of getting them up to fitness straight away. And coming into the Christmas period, it's a busy period. We all know that. So it's going to be tough. Bad hand he's been dealt with, should have been brought in the summer. Do
you genuinely believe that, though? That we're actually here a couple of days before Christmas in December and that these players aren't match fit? Honestly, do you actually, just a question out there, that this Manchester United squad or certain players aren't match fit? I can't buy that, me, surely not. Is he trying, you know, the rotation, it's getting asked quite a lot now, more and more as the days go by. I noticed it, especially on the match reaction yesterday, people talking about the rotation, that you're not going to get any consistent results with rotation. We've talked about it in the last couple of weeks that we expect, come that Liverpool game, a more consistent and steady side in the Premier League. But, you know, with this rotation, what is going on, you know, surely that's not down to players not being match fit. Surely it's just a matter of him being in his actual first month, a pre-season month, so to speak, and him just getting used to who's available, well, who's good enough and who's not.
I think he's using the rotation mainly for having a look at all his players. But sometimes the rotation baffles me. I was baffled with the Tottenham away game in the Cup. How we put Højlund on there. I thought Højlund would be a shoo-in to be a substitute and Xerxes on the pitch. And at the end of the day, he was brought off and then he was made substitute against Bournemouth and Xerxes started. I don't understand that at all. So rotation, fitness, yeah, there is an element of truth to it, but there's also an element of like what's going on.
I think just in my view, an element of that, of the rotation, is to not increase any more injuries, so to keep players off that injury table, so he has got more players to actually choose from. I don't think it's a case of these players surely not being actually at the top levels of match fitness.
There has to be a time where you have to like say, right, let's have you on there. Players play with little niggles and all that.
Yeah.
So it's happened all their lives. So he's going to have to like sort it out now. And I would have thought he would have put his best 11 on the pitch. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure he knows what his best 11 is, because I don't think he can trust 11 players out there, what he puts out. I just honestly don't think he can trust 11 players. I don't think there's 11 players up to the standard of what Ruben Amorim wants.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that in a slight, that, you know, trusting 11 players on that pitch, I think it'd be hard to do if you actually try to name them out there. But I do think he probably is there or thereabouts, though, of knowing the best players, if they're available, well, when the squad's fit, who to choose out of that for a best 11, though.
Yeah, he can.
I'm not saying he can then trust every single one of them, but in this current squad, he's surely got a good idea who the best 11 is, near enough.
Yeah, he's got a good idea what the best is out of the squad. But it's not what he wants.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
it's not what he wants. It's not what we want. We know there's players out there what just aren't good enough. We also know there's plenty of players on the bench what aren't good enough to come on. You look at Eriksen, you look at Casemiro. He's not using them at all. So that points you in the direction of where he's going in January, possibly summer, with them two players. But there's other players, we can just give a right long list of them. But best 11, I think he puts 11 out there, putting his fingers to trust really with some of these players.
Marcus Stevenson from our members club has just gifted 10 memberships.
Thank you very much.
The 10 people who've just been gifted their memberships, give a big thank you to Marcus, the legend. Is there any certain players that you look at in this team over the last few weeks where you actually then think that the fitness isn't up there?
I think the majority of them. I honestly do. I think the majority of them. I've not seen 6, 7 players play consistently, fit 90 minutes football, running, doing what Ruben Amorim wants, doing what every other, well, most teams are doing, and that's running, using the muscle, getting around the pitch and everything. No, I honestly don't think.
So if you're actually saying that most of these players then, in your opinion, aren't match fit to the levels required, well then surely he has to do them rotation to get these players fit.
No, I look at it in this way. I don't think there's 7 or 8 players definitely at times not good enough to run consistently what should be doing. When you come into the Premier League, you should have a standard up there. That's what I'm saying. Yes, they might be fit, but the standard of them is not good enough for 90 minutes football. When you look at teams like Nottingham Forest, you look at Bournemouth yesterday, for instance, they were constantly at it all game. Our players aren't, because they're not good enough for the standard of what's required.
The thing is as well, I still feel like we're relying on the younger players as well to drag us through games, you know, especially in the attacking areas, to win us games. And it seems to be like Man United have always got that moment in them games in them, like we've seen against Bournemouth. Despite us, you know, getting a win, like let's say at Manchester City, you still feel, and you have that in the back of your mind, them performances aren't far from round the corner.
Them young lads out there, I think they're feeling it right now.
Yeah.
I think they're feeling it. I think they feel as though they're being let down by the senior players and that. You look at Garnacho this year, he's gone right off the ball from what he was last year. You look at Mainu. I think Mainu, his standard has gone down from last year. Maybe that's because he's played too much football. Ahmad, he'll have a good game. And then he'll sort of fade and just have little bits. He's a young lad. He's got a lot of potential. Yeah. Mainu's got the potential, but they still need work on. And they need their rest more than them senior players, to be honest with you, or they'll get burnout.
No, I do agree with that, actually. And I was looking before the game yesterday, and I was looking in the wing-back positions. I thought, right, we've got a natural left footer on the left-hand side in Malacia, right footer on the right-hand side. You know, it might give us that extra needed width, you know, with the two playing narrow behind Xerxes yesterday, but it just didn't play out that way at all.
That was the worst aspect of the game, because that's the attacking side of the game we thought we'd see. And it was very, very poor. I didn't see them linking up with anyone who was up front, who was supposed to be there. No one sort of overlapped, went behind the players. Yes, they got behind the ball sometimes, but the Bournemouth were working and they were always ready to spring. But United players there on the left and on the right never got behind. Well, how many times have we seen that? We've seen that for a long, long time. And every now and again, you'll see them go into an attacking mode. But United stayed back too much. It wasn't just on them. There was too much of a gap again. And I'll say it again. Yeah. How many times have we seen the gap from the back to the midfield, playing forward, going up to the forwards, and that big gap? Xerxes was up there on his own, but he didn't do himself any favours at all in his control, in his headers, jumping for the ball, anything like that. So the gaps appeared again. And obviously 3-0 up, yes, you've seen a lot of United on the edge of their area and that, and why not? They were just sitting back, they were just playing out time. Very, very poor from the wing backs yesterday. But overall, if you see the attacking, what United do week in, week out, it's very poor getting behind the back. We see it now and again. Yeah. But going forward, that has to change. But I don't think he's got the right people, the right personnel in there. And I just say it again, it's the summertime when it's all changing, and we're just going to have to suffer and just bite the bullet here.
Yeah, I did talk about set pieces again, and especially the mood and the atmosphere in Old Trafford as well, of like that anxiety, you know, when set pieces are getting ready to be took.
The anxiety is there all the time, even when we're winning or anything, because you're just waiting for that one mistake. I mean, at times yesterday, the anxiety was there because the ball, the possession was being given away and everything. But most of all, he alluded to like the fans inside the ground. He said all the fans, they just feel tired in the stadium because the anxiety is there. And there is a tiredness coming over fans now. I'm calm. I'm not angry. I don't think I was angry yesterday. I was just pointing out what I was seeing. But going forward, I'm not angry at all. But I am tired. There's no two ways about it. I'm tired going into Christmas, and that's unusual for me.
You actually sound a bit tired as well. Did you get a good sleep last night? Or?
No, I didn't get a good sleep at all. I actually went out this morning, got me medication to make sure that I can have a nice little sleep and that. Because I just don't want to carry on thinking about the problems, what we've got. I want to be optimistic. I want to be positive going forward. But as I've said, as soon as Ruben Amorim come in, this ain't going to change until the summertime. We'll have the ups and we'll have the downs. And that's what we're seeing. Stats don't match the performances with Manchester United.
You're a little bit worried. I'm not singling him out here, but I'm mentioning Andre Onana. Are you a little bit worried by him? Because it was a player that we praised heavily, to be fair, at the start of the season, under Erik ten Hag especially, that he seemed to have rose to a challenge this season compared to the previous season. He's making some outstanding saves, and to me, he's looking a little bit like unsure.
Every player on that pitch we've praised at some point over the last 12 months. Every player. So when you mention Onana, I do understand that, but it's every player we have praised, and they're underperforming. Okay, you'll get the odd game like we've said at the start of the video, but every player is underperforming. So they've all had criticism, they've all had praise. We're just not getting what should be getting. A Manchester United team going out there, fighting and running for 90 minutes and putting in a performance what we expect.
A few people in the chat are mentioning relegation. Things aren't that bad, surely.
No, things aren't that bad. The quality's there to keep us away from the relegation fight, because we will have different games. We'll have poor games, we'll have good games. The thing is, you won't get in that relegation fight. That's, I wouldn't say nonsense, because you can never say never. And, you know, sometimes... I
think there was some damning stats early on in the season. Was it the first 5 or 7 Premier League games where we'd matched the season? Was it 73-74 where we actually got relegated that season? We actually matched the actual, was it the losses or points total?
Yeah, but that's stats from then and to now, and you have to look with your eye test and all that.
Yeah, of course.
Right? The squad is capable and good enough to get up the league. There's no chance of them falling back. That has to be a monumental disaster of players' confidence playing football and players lots of injured. So you never say never, but it's not something I've thought of at any stage.
Scott, cheers for your super chat. It says Ten Hag left us in a bad state, unfortunately, but I wouldn't blame just Erik ten Hag, to be honest with you, mate. I'd blame the people behind the scenes as well, who took all summer to have a think of whether they want to keep him. Is he staying? Is he not? And then, you know, what sort of mood and vibe does that then bring into the club at the start of the season, where players in the changing room are possibly looking at him thinking, well, you'll be out the door soon. We'll just throw you under the bus like we've done with previous managers, a certain core selection in that group who are still in there. OK,
let me tell you something straight. OK, I'm going to get this straight to you all now, and to you, Kieran. OK, everybody is to blame. OK. Going in on one person, right, is the wrong thing to do at this moment. Everybody's to blame, from the suits to the whoever's inside United, to the coaches, to the manager, to the players. Everybody is to blame, and the only way you're going to come out of this is a collective blame, and everyone accepts that. Okay, the truth. Amorim is talking the truth, but other people are avoiding the truth. They're hiding. So it's a collective blame here. Personal, picking on one person is the wrong way to go at it at the moment, okay? You can have a great side and then someone sort of like tails off in a game. This is a poor side, it's a poor club, it's a poorly run, poor infrastructure. It was raining in the press conference yesterday. There's nothing right here. Everybody is to blame. Okay, so this agenda, what people think I'm going to have, picking on a player or whatever, no, everyone's to blame. And they've all got to get down, sort it out, work it out, and it's going to be very, very hard to do. And Ruben Amorim has got a really difficult task to get us to the summer without any catastrophe going on around us. He now knows the bad players, the players he can't trust. Okay, they will be dealt with in the summer. Hopefully, some might be dealt with in the January. Hopefully, he might be able to bring in 1 or 2 players. Okay, but this collective, it's all of them. It's everybody, and it's gone on a long time. People going about the Glazers, everything else like that. It's everybody. Because everybody.
I have actually, with you just mentioning that, I've heard similar, to be fair, on the comment section, about people saying about all the job cuts, you know, the mood behind the scenes at Manchester United, and that's sort of like filtering down to the players as well, you know, job cuts, etc. You know, you've had Sir Jim Ratcliffe at least a couple of times in the last few months saying that this squad is just average, and that's one of the reasons why we're in this position as well. Yeah, so when you're hearing comments like that as a player, you know, does that affect him, or is that just an excuse?
Yeah, it's just an excuse. Everything's an excuse.
No, I mean for the players' performances.
For the players, it's an excuse. Using anything for an excuse because they're not putting it in on the pitch. If Ruben Amorim and the coaches see that they're performing in training and that, they're not doing it on the pitch. Excuse after excuse after excuse. That's what these players do, okay? Sir Jim Ratcliffe is making excuses, okay? The only person at the moment who's not making excuses is the manager, and that's why we all understand where we're at, and that's why we're all backing Ruben Amorim, because he's telling it as it is. Obviously, he's not going to go on about the owners or anything like that. His job is on the pitch. But then again, I thought Sir Jim Ratcliffe's job was all about sorting everything out on the pitch, and he seems to be sorting everything else out besides on the pitch.
Ray in the chat says, the simple truth is this group of players are not good enough, and the only one who is not blameless is the new manager.
That's right. It's the manager, but we know he's got to have the backing, right? And we will all know in the summer with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, right, with the wallet, if it comes out, because he knows what he's got to do, but he's took the eye off the ball. He's doing other things. He's demoralising staff and everything. He's having people there being able to use it as excuses. All we've ever heard for United's failure is people blaming other people and using things as excuses. People have to stand up now. Man up. That's what they have to do. Not spit the dummy out like they did the other week before the City game. That's what we're having here, and that's what we've had for years here. People spitting the dummy out and throwing blame, and people keeping their head down and just collecting a nice wage. These so-called coaches, third coach and things like that, other people. You know, I'm sick to death of it. You're sick to death of it, right? And we can only hope now that Ruben Amorim gets a grip of it. But I tell you what, that's one monumental job he's got. What a task he's got. And he might just turn around and go, I can't change this with the people in the background because they're not backing me. And I wouldn't blame him at the end of the day to throw a wobbler, okay, because he deserves to throw a wobbler, because he's been brought in at this late stage of the season, and it is late. He should have been here pre-season, right? And he's ended up with this carnage and chaos. But we're just going to have to see if he can get a little bit of consistency before the chaos.
I know one thing's for sure. He signed, what was it, a 2.5-year contract. He's going to need a lot longer than that to sort this and turn this around, where we're back challenging at the Premier League, which looks a distant memory away, to be honest with you.
You could have given him a 10-year contract. But the man himself wouldn't stay here for 10 years. The man would just look at it and say, this is a badly run club. Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it is a badly run club, and he's got to hope that the people who say, I know what I'm doing behind the scenes, it actually works. Because if it doesn't work, he'll go. He will go in 12 months' time if he doesn't get things. But if he's not backed in the summer, why would you stay? Why would you stay? But the thing is, he knows what he's doing. Everyone is supposed to be on board. Everyone's waiting for the summer. The fans are waiting for the summer. We're on board. So let's just wait. Let's see if things change in the summer. I'm not a doom merchant here. I just know the reality of where we're at, okay? And it's carnage and chaos, all right? And we'll have some good moments. And when we do win a game, you're supposed to celebrate it, and we will celebrate it. Yeah. But we also expect some poor results as well.
Oh, of course, that's the life of being a football fan. Celebrate your wins, like Manchester City, Everton, even if he was playing Stockport County, you celebrate your wins. It doesn't matter. And that day comes where you can't celebrate, or you've got to give fake celebration, fake outrage. I mean, for me personally, that'd be the day where I just pack it in, watch it at home. Yeah,
you just hope that going forward, the professionalism in the club turns round. And when we talk about the club, we talk about behind the scenes, okay? Yeah. Ruben Amorim and the coaches, they will deal with the professionalism on the pitch. We can clearly see that by what he says week in, week out, Ruben Amorim. But it's the professionalism behind the scenes. They've been here a year now, okay, and they've made some bad mistakes as far as I'm concerned. Opening their mouths consistently and that, undermining the club, making them look foolish because it comes back and slaps them in the face with comments what they make. They're unguarded comments. They're not professional comments, talking about players and it's not good enough and all that. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, what's all that about? I mean, that is stupidity at its highest. But that's what we've had to deal with. We've had to deal with the Glazers not saying anything. And now we've got someone opening his mouth, undermining the players, giving them an excuse to sulk, because that's what's happened.
I mean, confidence will be pretty low now amongst the fan base. I mean, it's not that low between myself and my dad. But you're looking at this Wolves game, you've seen the bounce that they've got under this new manager. We're going into that. I mean, 3 points a point is no certainty at all.
Nothing's certain here at Manchester United. You go to Wolves, they're fighting for their lives.
Newcastle, then Liverpool.
Why would it surprise anybody with the performances we're seeing that we're going to put one in against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are fighting for their lives to get out of relegation and all that? And new manager bounce. How long that'll last, I don't know. But we're going there and we're going to play a team what's fighting. I don't see any fight in our football club. Don't see any fight. You get the odd game where they'll get a fight and that, but a consistent fight, you're going to get a consistent fight out of Wolves because they're fighting for their lives. They don't want to get relegated, and that, it affects them all, and they don't want to drop out the Premier League.
I mean, you look at this Manchester United side, you look at one-off results, even against like City, the FA Cup final, same in the FA Cup with Liverpool, and there's been others as well. But when we get them type of results, it's always like in a defensive, compact shaped, where we're looking at counter-attacking every single time, and he's never going to go back to that for what's best for this current squad, in my opinion. So the best thing to do is let this ride out. Let's see who's on the journey, who's good enough, who's not, but just don't deviate from the plan, because if you was to change your tactics, it just masks the overall problems of it for me. So, you got to have a lot of patience, I think, right now. And it's going to test a lot of people's patience in terms of results and performances.
We keep mentioning patience and all that, right?
You're smiling?
I am smiling.
Have you got patience?
To an extent, I've got patience. I don't want to see stupidity and all that things, people inside the club doing daft, rash things. I want them to stick to a plan, but I'm unsure that there is a plan, because things don't seem to be going. Once they get it running, they seem to change things in the background, especially with things like the stadium, their infrastructure and everything else like that. So you can't really sort of wholeheartedly say they know what they're doing. I mean, have they had success at football before? No, they haven't, and they're running the biggest football club in the world. And we've took them on trust, and trust is still there. And it's the summertime when you sort of say to yourself, that trust has gone.
Yeah, Fred Grantham in the chat says, are you lads writing this season off, ? I'm certainly not. I hear a lot of talk in comment sections, not just on our channel and, other channels out there about, this season's a write-off, or when we come up against teams like Arsenal, Man City, it's a free hit. I don't think there's any such thing when you're in a football club and you're trying to raise standards, because I'm sure the likes of Berrada, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Brailsford and others aren't writing the season off or saying when we're going into games, this is just a free hit because they're higher than us in the table.
I'm certainly not writing this season off. I've turned around and said the Europa League. I seem to be on my own with that point. I think United have got a great chance of that Europa League, because I think Ruben Amorim is suited to that European style, and he might pull off some good results. So I'm looking at that, and the other reason why I'm looking at the Europa League is because the club need it. We need it. We need to get in the Champions League, but the club needs to be able to spend in the summer. So they might be able to sort of cash in a few chips early if we're in the Champions League.
Right.
And so for a club, it's the Europa League. But as a United fan, I think the Europa League is the best chance we've got. I always said...
So just to interrupt you, do you mean to finish in the Europa League places come the end of the season, or do you look at it in the competition this season to win it? Right.
Win it. Okay. I'm looking at winning it.
Right.
And I have done for a while now, especially since Ruben Amorim's coming, because I do believe it's suited for him. And I think United are looking to win it, because that's the only option to get in the Champions League. And if you always go back to the last, let's say 15, nearly 20 years, the main objective was to get in the Champions League. And when the Glazers come in, they only gave Alex Ferguson, by all accounts, just getting that top four. We're happy with that. And the reason being is because of the money. And we keep going, we're able to buy players. So that money, what comes in, if we don't get that money, the other teams will get bigger and bigger. We've just seen Villa come into the Champions League, okay? There's other teams there trying to fight in there. You've got Forest now. You've got Bournemouth in positions they will fight tooth and nail to keep and get a chance for that Champions League. And if United keep consistently getting out of it, we are going to fall behind. And especially with sponsor money and all that, because everything decreases.
You talked about the Europa League, though, and you're looking around the squad. Are these players really up for it? You talked about fight before. We're not seeing that on a consistent basis, though, from a lot of these players, because maybe some of them think they will be out come the summer. They'll have new options and new opportunities elsewhere. So why really put it in, risk an injury, etc.?
The big problem going forward with consistency is this, and this is a date you all must look at and think to yourself, am I talking like I've lost my marbles? But there's an international, okay? There's an international break in March. I've always seen at the end of the season, when United have got nothing to play for, the football is terrible. Now, these players will go away in March. And what happens in March is you have speculation from every Tom, Dick and Harry about transfers, selling, buying. And then also what you will see the discontent from these players when they go away, because those with discontent open their mouths and start telling stories and that. And then the games, what we will have when we come back, okay, there is no effort, there is no passion. I have seen it year after year now, okay, where there is nothing. The games, they just see them out. They're not interested. And that is the danger point, okay? In March, the international break, and what happens while that break goes on, and what happens when they come back. You will see how people want to perform, what attitude they've got. So bear that in mind. I'm just warning you now, okay? If you think it's carnage and chaos now, depending on where we are in a position to challenge for anything, by the time that international breaks, if we're not in a position, okay, you watch this whole club blow up.
On a positive note, 3 points against Wolves, 3 points against Newcastle. We'll all feel a lot different, won't we, going into that new year? Because that's how we are as football fans. Your mood will change from one week to the next. And like we said in the title and the start of this video, one week you'll be dancing like lunatics, the following week you're humbled. But just like to thank everyone for joining us today, getting involved in the chat with your own opinions. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to support us as well by leaving a like on the video. You know it's much appreciated. And we'll be back tomorrow on Christmas Eve with another live video. So hopefully you can come and join us and we'll have another Manchester United chat. Thanks everyone. See you again soon.
Thank you.